it's KitKat Hamaro here, and as you might remember, I posted a video about how to shade hair, like shading stuff. Um, but I think it's time that I showed you how I shade hair, clothing, and skin. Um, this is just to show how I do it. You don't have to follow the same principles as I do, but yeah. Anyway, if you look here, this is actually how I shade my hair now. So I just do this. All these little things here are the little bits I use that I shade. You can even see in the blurred back, in the parts where it's blurred, that I use the same principles and the characters in the back. And I also have this method of how I shade hair like this. How I do the the darken parts. Anyway, yeah, so how I shade clothing is that it really depends on the lighting and stuff, you know? And so yeah, I just use the multiply layer, or if like I'm not in a rush, I just go here and pick a suitable color and just, I start coloring it in. But because this is a thumbnail for but because this is something that I'm using as like for a thumbnail, that means I'm gonna have to be a bit quicker with the drawing process, so I have to use those blending modes. Anyway, as you might see, I do this little cool thing where it's like I have this thing here, see, and then I just outline it. And how you do that is just very simple. You just go click the multiply layers, and you see this. To make it darker, you could use a darker shade of it, but I like to use 2 layers for this to give it a more believable effect, as seen here. Anyway, um, on to shading. Now, as you might have seen, let me just. As you might have seen here, around here, I put little shadings here to indicate lighting, such as like the sun, because this is meant to be the thumbnail. Yeah, I use a bit of highlighting to make sure that the spots seem like it's a bit like it seems like it's day, it's meant to be sunny, it's meant to be bright, to give it a bit of that atmosphere. Anyway, when you're shading hair, there's really not really a wrong way to do it, but you have to keep in mind, if you're doing something as like with like a background here, and your character's not just floating around in like a blank white space, then you're gonna have to pay attention to lighting and detail. So, I thought that the sun was, like, the sun might have been shining around here, you know? Let me draw a little sun. The sun was around here, so that means, that it would be shining like this. But here's the problem that I didn't see when I was making the thumbnail. I had put a shine around here, even though the sun wasn't shining here, it was shining here. So I'm gonna have to. I can't really fix it, but like I'll keep this for future reference, and you should too. Um. So when it comes to shading for like the dark parts, this was just the highlights. Um. When it comes to shading skin, I always recommend going with cause like um okay, for lighter skins, usually you go to like the pink areas, and then you just, yeah. Or you could just use the multiply layer if you're not really that good at it. And when I'm doing darker skins, I usually just I just get this really really hot pink. I put the multiply layer on, and then I just start shading it. So that way I can properly shade it, because I'm not really good at coloring in dark skinned characters, but I want to have I want there to be a lot of diversity with the characters I draw. Anyway, um if you want to if you're coloring, here's a tip. If you're coloring your characters and they have like a colored line art for their skin or anywhere else, I recommend you put a filter for the line art and the colors, and then when you're shading them, you put a multiply layer on, put the clipping mask, and then just uh, use the preferred color, and then just shade it so that way it doesn't look weird or anything. Anyway, that's really it. That's all I have. I'm not really a professional, but this is just how I do things.